afternoon, everyone. I'm Rakesh Kaipenchery, CEO and co-founder of HealthOrbit AI. So we are a Delaware C Corp, registered and headquartered in Austin, Texas. We founded our company in Q2 of 2024 and launched our first version of our product in end of September 2024. So our mission is pretty straightforward. How to use technology, and more importantly, AI, to solve some of the critical administrative challenges in healthcare. So if you look at the healthcare ecosystem, we have three primary pillars. You have the physicians, you have the patients, and you have the hospital owners. So if you talk to physicians today, they are burdened by the shortage of resources, increase in patients, and with the advent of EHR systems, though they have helped to digitize healthcare data, it has increased the time the doctors spend on administrative tasks. So doctors today spend 30% of their time on administrative tasks, 30% of their time. So though the impact is directly felt by the patients. Patients feel neglected, they feel they don't get enough care. And eventually, if you look at hospital owners, so if you look at an ecosystem like UK, where it's public health, they feel strained. And if you look at insurance-driven economy like US, the hospital owners feel choked by the insurance companies. So we have kind of coined this as a healthcare trilemma, where the patient, the physician, the patient, and the hospital owners are impacted. So kind of to put some perspective and numbers to what we kind of talked about. If you look at UAE, there's 1.6 physicians per 1,000 population, and around 40 minutes are spent by a patient for waiting between vitals and a physician consultation. Now, if you look at the US market, $36 billion is lost every year, $36 billion lost just due to coding errors. 28 hours spent on paperwork, and the burnout, and every physician that you talk to will agree to that they feel burned out by these administrative and clinical work that they're doing. Now, if you look at a slightly different market, which is mostly public health, mostly if you look at UK is the other extreme where it's not the insurance, but because of the public healthcare system, the patients are the ones that are most impacted. So we are working with one of the largest hospitals in UK. We are working on a pilot project where the wait time in emergency is around 8 hours. So if you walk into an emergency, you have to wait 8 hours before somebody sees you. That's what the system is in UK. So what we are focusing is to build a solution, a suite of products that touch every part of the healthcare ecosystem. So we have the MedOrbit, primarily targeting the physicians to streamline their activities. So we want to be that sidekick for the physician. And we want to start off with the low-risk use cases. So if you've listened to the panel discussions today, everyone's excited about AI, but there is a trust deficit in AI. So we want to start off with a low-risk use case of completely automating the administrative tasks of the doctors. And then comes the RevOrbit, which is primarily focused on insurance market, where our AI agents, our goal is to have an AI agent take the entire step of submission and denial management in the revenue cycle within the insurance ecosystem. And finally, the CareOrbit is tailored towards the patients. So we are in an early stage conversation with a long-term healthcare provider in Qatar, where we plan to integrate wearable devices with our AI, where they don't have to travel to their patient home every day to gather the vital information. And our AI creates a dashboard of red, amber, green on the patient that they need to be looking at immediately. So again, kind of touching upon some of the core aspects that I talked about. One is obviously the AI-powered documentation, which is where we are seeing a lot more traction, and we'll see a lot more competition also. Our coding and analytics platform is where it automates the entire revenue cycle process. And our AI agents, which we believe will be the key aspect in 2026, that will automate a lot of processes within the healthcare ecosystem, and specifically around the revenue cycle management. So
10 seconds,
again,
Warren. I'm sorry, 10 seconds.
Sorry. Yeah. No. So I'll quickly jump through the opportunity. Again, this is purely from a TAM, from a clinical documentation perspective, not really touching upon the RCM cycle. We believe, we are targeting certain markets. In the next 3 years, we can achieve this, SOM. And this is where our projections are. I mean, just forget the numbers, I got it wrong here. But we plan to hit 22 million in the next 3 years, which is approximately 50,000 physicians using our platform. 50,000 physicians using our platform the next 3 years, which will take us to around 23 million in revenue. And our traction we're actively pursuing in Europe, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and India. We have a partner ecosystem model which allows us to scale and move fast to acquire customers. And my other co-founders are Jobin and Ankur. Jobin is mostly on the sales side, and Ankur is on the CTO. And from day one, we have a very strong medical advisory board from various backgrounds, helping us accelerate and take this on the right path. I'll probably skip.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yes, we need to
yeah.
conclude with questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, can I start you off? I just want to hear more about the technology. What are you basing the technology on, and how you're safeguarding that data? And also, you haven't touched on your competition and what your unique value is.
Absolutely. So on the technology side, from a clinical documentation perspective, we have actually built our AI on top of the foundation models that are available today. So we have trained and fine-tuned our AI on the foundation models to allow us to move faster in the market. On the competition side, if you look at on the clinical documentation, you have Heidi, Nuance, and Abridge, who are primarily focusing on the clinical documentation side and mostly on the US market. So we are kind of moving from east to west. And the competition is today truly focused on the US market.
I have a quick follow-up, actually.
Yeah.
It's basically more of a platform with third-party integration tools, right?
It's more of a solution built on some of the platforms available.
All right, okay.
And what about your revenue model, please? Could you go into that?
Yeah, the clinical documentation is pretty straightforward. We want to have a subscription per physician, a subscription model. But when it comes to AI agents, we have two models, which is one usage, which is we are working on a virtual triage, which could be per patient or per minute that the AI can help triage. So there's kind of two aspects to it.
Can I just ask a quick question? As you mentioned, a lot of EHR system exists already. Can't they just do that as a feature offering versus if you have a separate platform, now you're asking physicians to yet have another platform on top of their EHR, and you've heard of a bridge, which is an ambient listening device, which listens to everything and documents it. So how do you find yourself in the middle?
It's very similar to Abridge. Our solution is very similar to Abridge. But on the EHR side, I kind of give always an example. Think about EHR as the Salesforce of the world. And we are the Mailchimp of the world. Right? Mailchimp is like the email marketing tool. People still have Mailchimp on top of Salesforce because we are good at a niche aspect. So EHR does a lot of things, but we are focused on solving certain aspects really well.
I'd like to ask about the AI agent portion. So you mentioned that sounds like you are working on documentation automation, as a matter of fact. But what is the real role of AI agent here, and then what kind of advice you provide to the physicians?
So the AI agent, initially we want to deploy AI agents for our revenue cycle management in the insurance-heavy industry. So if you look at the US market, the entire revenue cycle management is an outsourced industry to India, Philippines, and Pakistan. The entire revenue, after the clinician sees a patient, the entire documentation work is done offshore. So we envision our AI agents to carry forward every step after the physician sees a patient, which includes submission to insurance, ensuring proper billing is done, proper coding is done, denials are managed. So we'll have different agents fine-tuned for different tasks.
I just have, you said you projected 422 million in revenue this year.
Sorry. So, for 22.7 million in year 3.
In year 3.
Yeah.
Okay, and currently, do you have revenue?
No, we are signing the first contract tomorrow here in Dubai.